Ciao Juventini, and welcome to the All Juve cast, of course, brought to you by Strike Charts Apparel. And we are coming off the 2-1 victory in the Champions League, however, aggregate defeat to Lyon in the return leg. I was scheduled to have a first-time guest join the podcast. He had family matters to attend to, so I wish him all the best and that it works out. He will be on a future episode. Obviously, now will be next season, which is only next month. So we'll get him on. But I've got a fellow La Panchina member here that was ready and available to fill in. Graeme, who's no stranger to the pod. And the two of us together are going to try to make as much sense as possible. There will be swearing, I'm sure. And it could get ugly at times. But we're going to try to recap this thing and talk about players, management, and give our thoughts. But whatever happens, happens. And we are recording literally after the match because we like it. I just like the podcast to be full of true emotions from Juventini, and give it to you like that. So Graeme, are you ready to try and do this here?
Yeah, you're going to get plenty of emotions tonight, that's for sure.
Well, let's start off with the feelings going into the match. We had the starting lineups. There were some questions out there. I did my preview and prediction video, and I said I didn't even want to think about conceding. I wanted to hope Dybala was in there. But the main question for me was, how were we going to use Juan Cuadrado? And I was shocked when I ran a Twitter poll to see how many fans wanted him at right back rather than right wing. I think I felt more comfortable having Danilo at back and have Cuadrado on the right wing, because what I was worried about was Lyon plays a 3-4-3, 3-5-2. You can call it whichever you want, but that's the way they played. And my theory was, from everything we've seen, Juve struggles at team play and quick passing and linking up. And I felt we were going to get into a scenario where we would start crossing the ball in. If it was going to be a poor team scenario type play, I would much rather have Cuadrado in there so at least he could win some 1v1s. That was my theory as far as having him in the lineup. We got the lineup. It ended up being Cuadrado at right back. Bonucci, De Ligt in the middle, Sandro, Szczesny in goal, of course. A midfield of Bentancur, Pjanic, Rabiot, and then up top, Bernardeschi, Higuain, Ronaldo. It is what it is. We ended up finding out Dybala was not fit, so I was kind of okay with it, but I don't know. I thought it'd be okay with Berna if we pressed and kept him high on the line and tried to get in behind that space. What were your thoughts? How were you feeling going to the match? I was still optimistic. I thought Juve would get the job done. I called 2-0 on La Panchina, and you did as well. Let's take me through your thoughts in the build-up to this match.
Well, in the build-up, my expectations were low, a bit like our manager, conveniently. And, I was too afraid to predict. I think even at the beginning of our watch party on La Panchina, I was adamant I wasn't predicting. I was like, I'm not touching it. I think Juventus will go through. Clearly, I was wrong. And, you had to really push me to get me to predict. And I think Juventus will win by 2-0 or something like that, which was completely ridiculous to begin with, because my main concern coming into this game was we don't look like a team that can keep a clean sheet. There's just so many defensive fragilities in that team, which is incredible to say as a Juventus fan. I mean, for the past, 7-8 years, we've been known as the famed BBC, Barzagli, Bonucci, Chiellini with Buffon and goal, rock solid defensive Italian team. And now you look at us and we don't look rock solid at all. And so I was concerned about that coming into the game. In the back of my mind, I thought, somehow, some way, we'll find a way, we'll get past Lyon. And truthfully, I thought whoever we faced in the quarterfinals would knock us out.
Yeah. It sucks that you feel the way, but I mean, honestly, it's what we've been brought to believe based on how Jekyll and Hyde this team has played all season. We are going to recap this match, but we're going to talk on some points on why we really felt that way towards the end when we really start to broaden the spectrum on what we're going to discuss and talk about. But the match starts right away. I was looking for that press from us. I wanted to see that press. We haven't seen it for weeks now, not effectively, but we did press. We come out, still not looking terribly, not sharing an understanding in the final third. And even the press, when we're trying to do it, you could always see there's one link in the chain that's not quite there. And it's just that, it's just not fully cohesive. 7th minute in, Ronaldo gets a good chance. He gets whistled for offside. 8th minute, Lyon comes close, actually, and starts generating some opportunities. Sandro actually did a nice clearance. They almost scored on the rebound from that. And then in the 11th minute, out of nowhere, when it seems we're pressing, we look okay, everything's fine. Just this strange sequence, because Higuain's trapping the ball, and it looks like he gets fouled. I started watching this after. I wanted to see more of it, and even on La Panquina, I said, I want to see this. I want to see Higuain get taken down there, because it looked like a foul to me. On the replay, after going over it with Albert, the ref was putting his whistle to mouth and then took it away. He was going to call that. I don't know why he stopped and didn't, but he didn't. They come up the field. Bentancur slides in, makes a great challenge. It gets called immediately for PK. We're losing it. Everybody's losing it. On replay, at halftime, they start breaking it down on the TV feed, saying that it wasn't actually Bentancur that they got called, that it was Bernardeschi for a trip there. And you can pick either one of those, and it's tough call, but with VAR, should never have been called. If you watch the one with Berna, there's barely contact, but not only that, the player doesn't go down. He does not go down until Bentancur slides in and wins that ball. And that's the part that drives me crazy. And what's the point of VAR? What's your thoughts on either one of them? The Bentancur tackle obviously was fantastic, but having heard the Bernardeschi thing and watching it, that makes more sense. But there's no way that ref catches that at real time. So I don't think he's actually looking at that initially. I think on the initial call, he called Bentancur. And I think maybe after talking to them or whatnot, there's no way he could have seen Bernardeschi's play. Like, I find it hard to believe. The whole thing was strange. Obviously, Memphis Depay steps up and Depay scores. And it's 1-0 for them. And now we need 3. And it's just like, what the hell? But take us through your thoughts on this PK situation.
Well, I mean, we were watching it on a TV screen, and we watched several replays. And the entire time, we're discussing Bentancur's tackle. And we are like losing our minds on this because Bentancur wins the ball. There's little or no contact on the Lyon player. So, we're rightfully so just losing our shit on this. And we're debating and we're arguing and all of this stuff. And then half time comes, and it turns out the incident that we were so focused on, that wasn't even why the penalty was given. And we're watching replay after replay, angle after angle. And we didn't even notice that there was supposedly a clip from Bernardeschi on whoever the Lyon player was. And once it was pointed out that the penalty was given because Bernardeschi slightly clipped his foot, I was not for having that. That just set me off even more because this is football. Football overall is a contact sport. And if you're going to give a penalty for the slightest minimalistic touch, the game's done. The game's gone, in my opinion, because that's not enough contact to throw a player over. And then, like, when people say, yeah, but there is contact and then the player goes over. Yeah, but there's a delayed reaction. And that, in my mind, means that's simulation. That's a dive. So you might feel a slight touch, but it's not enough to send you over. Otherwise, you would fall over immediately. So stuff like that, people will call it soft or whatever. That's, in my mind, that's never a penalty.
This one was a reach, man. That was a reach. Even if you were looking at Berna, I mean, it was a reach. The Bentancur one was like no chance in hell. That's a PK. The Bernardeschi one is still a stretch. It's a reach. I'm like, that's just terrible. And with VAR, I'm just shocked he didn't go and take a look. Like, go and take a look. It's a Champions League knockout tie. Walk over there and take a look. Be sure at what you're doing. Like, that's the part that's frustrating. Anyways, Depay scores. It's 1-0, 2-0 on aggregates. We need 3. And it's crazy. 16th minute. You know, the team, we were thinking, like, we got to react. We got to get the pressure going. Ronaldo gets an opportunity, gets sent in behind the defense. He just goes wide with his shot, but it's offside. In the 19th minute, Bernardeschi, fantastic work down the byline. Fooled the keeper, gets in behind, and just takes that split second too long. The defender slides in there and stops it. And I'm just thinking, man, flick it, do anything, like outstretch your leg. Like, if you have to pull your damn hamstring to do it in enough speed to just get it over that line, like, do it. Just do it. Just find a way to get that thing in there. So unfortunate, but great play for him. Great fight to get into that position. 20th minute, Ronaldo comes close, but he doesn't get the header right. It actually goes off his shoulder and whatnot. And then there's a whole lot of nothing. There's just a period of nothing. There's almost a period of 16 minutes where it felt like Juve was just stagnant and not going to get this ball. Every man chasing the ball watching, rather than staying on their men and just putting some pressure and winning. We go into this zone. We always do this zone thing. And then it's like this struggle where we just can't get the ball back. 36th minute, Higuain gets a header on target, pretty weak though, and gets stopped. 39th minute, actually a really good free kick from Ronaldo. A little too close to the keeper though. He makes a good one-handed save, palms her way. 41st minute, handball out of a free kick. Pjanic hits it. Very, very fortunate call, in my opinion. I thought it was a softie, to be honest. But we get it. Ronaldo steps up. He scores. We have some hope. We hit halftime. Man, still, I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated at the referee because of the call. Not only because of that, because as this half was playing out, you didn't know what was going to be called and what wasn't going to be called. There seemed to be no consistency. It was a shit show, to be completely honest. He had no control. It was all over the map. As a player, I hate those games. You have no idea what's going to get called, what's not. Bentancur ran very, very close to. I thought at one point in that half he was getting sent off. I thought Bentancur is going to be sent off. We cannot afford to take him out of the lineup. We have no depth. We cannot afford to take him out of the lineup in a game where we're chasing 3 goals. You know, so we've got 1. It's 1-1. You can't take Bentancur out. You still need 2 goals. This was just frustrating. But what frustrated me the most at half was you could see there were sequences where Ronaldo was staying far too wide. Higuain was always central. And then when Ronaldo was on the opposite wing, Higuain would not go and move over and show for that fullback on either side. So we had this huge amount of space. But when Ronaldo did move centrally and he and Higuain got close, the 5-man wall at the back that a 3-5-2 turns into started to get narrow as he went inside. There were sequences where Cuadrado or Sandro would be bringing the ball up flanks. We could be attacking that space when they got narrow as soon as Ronaldo and Higuain got close in centrally. We did nothing. There was a play, Cuadrado was bringing it up. There was only one defender there. Bernardeschi had a wide open wing, and we had guys centrally, could have got down there, crossed it in. We did nothing. Bernardeschi stood there. Cuadrado ran up until they were 5 feet away, passed it to Bernardeschi. Bernardeschi passed it back, and the ball went backwards. And we had miles up that fucking byline. And it's the same byline that our coach is standing on, and he's not directing him or yelling at him. Make that move up the byline. Let's pop the ball over the top, and let's go at the penalty area. Like, attack. That pissed me off. Like, it was just frustrating. Your thoughts on the first half? What did you see? What did you notice? What was bugging you? What did you like? Like, I don't know.
I mean, we looked positive up until the Lyon penalty. Like, there was positive signs, and I thought, yeah, we're actually going to have a go at this. We're actually going to really have a go at this and put pressure on Lyon. I think the penalty decision definitely took the wind out of ourselves for a while, for too long. And then there wasn't... I mean, the first half to me was a complete blur. I mean, I didn't feel like there was that many standout moments, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you had some moments here and there, but it just, for the majority of that game, we were playing at a pedestrian pace. It was players were walking around or standing in the one spot. They weren't, for most of the game, they weren't creating space or they weren't making runs. It was like ball watching. It was like watching a bunch of amateurs or a bunch of school kids in the playground just standing around watching their mates with the ball, waiting for a pass. And that was just too, it was just stagnant. It was just too static. And they weren't really doing anything. And that was easy enough for Lyon to deal with for the majority of the game. Definitely the majority of the first half, as soon as they went up 1-0 thanks to the penalty. And to touch on the penalty that we got, again, that was such... the best way you can describe it is a soft penalty, a soft decision. To me, that was more ball to hand, but ball to hand apparently doesn't exist in football anymore.
Yeah.
So there was, I'm sure we'll touch on this later on, or maybe now. That referee was garbage. Yeah. I don't know how that guy is a professional referee, and it's quite convenient. The last Juventus game that was the referee for us was the Atletico Madrid 2-0 defeat. So that's some 2 bad nights for Juventus fans that guy's been in charge of. And then I was looking at during half time of the game, I thought, I'm going to look this guy up and I'm going to see what the statistics are or how long he's been refereeing for. This guy, I swear to God, seriously, this guy loves dishing out yellow cards. It's unreal. Like in the Champions League this season, I mean, according to this, what I've got in front of me for this season, he's been in charge of 5 Champions League games and he's handed out, this can't be right, surely not, 29 yellow cards according to this website. How the hell? Surely not.
Well, he dished out 9 tonight.
But it was unbelievable. There was no consistency or
Yeah,
there for the penalty incident, we were all screaming about Bentancur. He didn't book any of the Juventus players, despite it being a penalty and a foul in his eyes, or the VAR's eyes. So it was a foul and a penalty, but not a bookable offence. I mean, try wrap your head around that one.
Well, it's never a good feeling when you start seeing a ref doing one of these. Putting the whistle to his mouth and then taking it down, putting it that's so, at least have conviction in what you do, what you're calling. Get the consistency of your calls. Figure it out, and the amount of time this ref wasted throughout this match, making extra little fucking discussions happen here and there. And I'm like, man, there's not even any fans in the crowd for you to make a show of yourself for. literally, like, stop it. Just get them playing. Let's move this match along. Like, he ended up wasting more of Juve's time than Lyon, for Christ's sake. But yeah, he was terrible. But to be honest, regardless, we were lethargic. We were flat. I saw, a lot of good in Ronaldo. I saw urgency out of De Ligt. I saw a lot of frustration in Rodrigo Bentancur. Like a lot of frustration in him. And I just saw no guidance or direction from, like, there again. We just look like a team that knows one thing to do, and when it doesn't work, we are in shambles, and we rely on our individual talent to try and make something happen. Then second half begins, about 15 minutes of really nothing. 59th minute, Cristiano Ronaldo with just an insane hit from fucking 20, what was he, 23, 24, maybe further yards out, left-footed, off foot, beats the man in front of him, has a hell of a hit. Keeper gets a bit on it, but it just goes right off the post and in. Just an absolute bullet. And we have hope. We have life all of a sudden. And it literally is because of him. There's, like, Higuain was walking. He was walking. He was so poor. And this is something I've talked about so much in our system, well, lack of a system. There is no structure in the attacking phase. It's unbelievable. To me, if you're going to have your forward roam all over the place, which was Ronaldo, roaming everywhere, you have got to make sure that the others don't just remain in their positions. It's either they're all going to roam so that you at least protect the coverage, or you don't do it at all, because Ronaldo's moving around, he's making things happen, and then the ball would come out to Sandro, and Higuain is just walking in the center of pitch. Bernardeschi and Ronaldo are behind him. Sandro's got nowhere to go with the goddamn ball. And this happened repeatedly. And I'm just like, thank God we have a coach who can manage that. Oh, we did the exact same thing after the half. So we get a wonder strike from Ronaldo. Incredible hit. Absolutely incredible. 2-1. We get some hope. Let's see what can happen. Let's get some changes. Let's really put the pressure, 60th minute, Ramsey comes in for Pjanic. Good. Pjanic was useless. There was nothing there. He got forward a couple times in some advanced areas, but it's just so toothless. He didn't used to be that way. When we was with Roma, he was not toothless in that final third, but when the guy's done it a handful of times over a course of 3 seasons, that's what happens. He goes out, Ramsey comes in. In the 63rd minute, Bonucci gets a free header, back post, and he misses. Doesn't hit the target, just wide. And these ones, that could be the difference. I thought right away, I was like, that, just an opportunity like that, you got to finish it. You got to put it on the goal. Any free header, like, has to be on target. 69th minute, Higuain gets one of his own, not as free as Bonucci, but he gets a free shot at this one, and he gets it all wrong, and he puts it over. And I just saw a lot of pissing and moaning out of him. Just pissing, moaning, whining, sulking. Jesus Christ, like, man up and get involved here. 70th minute, Danilo in, Cuadrado out. And yeah, Cuadrado at the second half was, holy Christ. I lost count of how many brutal passes and just like build up, stopping fucking passes he was doing, coughing it up, and they were coming at counters like dangerously, because obviously we're getting into whatever the hell offensive shape you want to call it we get into, but we're getting into our offensive shape, and he just threw one after another to the same guy that's right in front of him. So I was fine with Cuadrado going out.
And he had the audacity to, it looked like he was complaining about being taken off.
Oh,
I mean, Jesus.
he got made look like he was made to look a fool in this match, personally. Like he did not look good whatsoever. It was terrible. Dybala comes in at the same sub for Bernardeschi, and this, I was saying it needs to be Higuain. Get Higuain the hell out of there. And there's two reasons. Number one, we know what happens when Dybala's out wide. Get him in the heart. And keep Bernardeschi out there, because he actually is at least working hard. He's working hard. He just lacked any proper direction on how the hell to break down this team. Unfortunately, 75th minute, Ronaldo misses on a header where he was free. Okay?
That was bad.
That one hurts. That's one, and you could see it all over his face. Worse than Bonucci? I don't think so. But both of them were losing their minds on themselves, because it just, it shouldn't have, it's got to hit target at least. 83rd minute, Dybala gets a great chance. They make a good move, good work. Well, it's a chance. It was a good chance. He got the shot wrong, and then he's limping. And you're just thinking, for fuck's sakes. You know, if it's that bad where this guy can't get in there, take a hit, why the hell is he even dressed up on the bench? What were you going to do with him?
Exactly.
Drop him in for penalties, maybe. Maybe that was it. But at least know that going in. To me, if a guy gets involved in one play minutes after he enters and he's injured that quick, he should not have been dressed or in there whatsoever. In the 83rd minute, he can't even take it anymore. He's got the ball, and he's telling Lyon, just leave me alone. Kicks it out, and we get Olivieri subbed in. And to me, we were calling for Dybala in, not knowing the severity, but thinking, okay, he's dressed. He's got to be good for something, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Like, what's he good for? That's crazy to me that he could get involved in one play, and he's limping like that. So why was he even dressed? Probably just penalty shots.
I mean, just to quickly jump in there, I mean, I'll just say it as bluntly as I think it was. That's piss poor management on Sarri's part. Because when you see a player on the bench, you're under the impression, okay, he's came back from a little knock or whatever was wrong with him. But he is at a decent level of recovery to be able to be on the bench as an option to go on the pitch and play. Clearly it wasn't, because he was barely on the pitch. It felt like, obviously it was longer than 5 minutes, but it felt like watching that game live, he was on for 5 minutes. He took a knock, and then he's literally putting his hand up to show the Lyon player in front of him, look, I'm hurt. I'm kicking the ball at a play. Please don't come near me, and for the love of God, don't touch me. That is poor management on Sarri's part, because Sarri will know that, because he'll speak to the medical people, and the medical people won't lie about it, especially when it's a player like Dybala. So if he's that bad, don't even have him on the bench as an option, because we were under the impression he could come on for 20 minutes or something like that, give you that creative spark, because him and Ronaldo have worked so well all season long. And we were crying out for him to come on, but as soon as he came on and he took that knock, he just knew he wasn't right. And he should have never been on the pitch to begin with if he wasn't at a decent level of recovery. And some people will say, like, I'm sure we'll touch on this later on. Some people will come out and say, oh, that's not Sarri's fault. Sarri can't be blamed for Dybala getting injured. Bullcrap. Because he's with the players all the time in training. He knows all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And he still thought to himself, I'll throw Dybala on here. and he got injured again. Or maybe he never even recovered from the injury, because we all were keeping up to date with it. And it was always like touch and go. He'll be on the bench. It was very rarely people were predicting he would start. So that's just poor management.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You've got to be more in tune, and that was just desperation. That was desperation. You know, in a situation like that, if you can't use Dybala, I know, but still, he didn't even take Higuain out. Like, that's the thing. So, in a scenario like that, if you don't have Dybala, like, I don't know, add a third center back, push Cuadrado up the pitch, get him away from right back, push him up, use Berna still, like, alter your formation, go at it. Lyon was content. It literally took a soft PK and a wonder strike to make them want to push back at us. But they were comfortable. Add another player forward, like, do something. But it's the same. It's the same with him. And, you know, the match finishes. It's 2-1. Juve wins it, but we lose on aggregate and we're out. We're bounced out. Okay, and here it comes. And everybody's just losing their minds. But the thing is, I really, really struggle to see how people can flat out say Sarri is not to blame. He is to blame for some of this, okay? He is not free from criticism, okay? He's not free from blame in this. This is not the first time this season that we've seen him play, okay? We've seen the club play against an opponent that we've already matched up against, and we look like we have zero idea who these guys are, what they do, and how they play. And that is on a goddamn manager. It is. Review the tape. Watch what they do. They did the exact same thing they did in Lyon, and we played the same way. Fans are saying this was much better than what we've seen recently, and the reason is because Lyon allowed it. They allowed it. We still had no idea how to break them down, and they were comfortable. They are fine with having three center backs at the back and us crossing it in. And our crosses, Jesus Christ, if that's what you're going to do, work on them in training. How the hell are we so bad at crossing? It blows my mind, but Sarri is not free from criticism, and he is part of a problem. He lost to Lazio looking terrible in both twice within less than 2 weeks' time. He's learned nothing. He has adapted nothing. He will not change from formation. Jesus Christ. If there's anything positive I can take out of this scenario, this season, it's that the highlight has finally been put on management for just how bad the business has been. They are finally seeing the blunders of the contract extensions, the players they have, and everything, and figuring out who needs to go. But I want to hear your thoughts. Sorry, I want to hear your thoughts on management. You know, it blows me away. And here's another thing, real quick before I stop. Sarri's words when questioned, did you expect more? He says, expect more? I expected less, to be honest. If I weren't devastated by the exit, I'd be delighted with the performance. Are you fucking kidding me? Graeme, I got to turn it over to you on that one, man. I just can't.
That's the guy that's supposed to be like man management and motivating the players. I mean, if you're like in the locker room or the team bus or wherever the hell the players are, and you look at your phone and you see those quotes, does that make you feel confident about your manager? Oh, I didn't expect this. I expected less from my team and my players. What the hell? This guy does not know. He has no idea how to handle the media. No. He just goes out there and he says the first thing that comes to his head. I would not be surprised if he's sitting in his house or wherever he will be, and he's bloody well FaceTiming Higuain saying, "Do you want to come over and watch the Napoli game with me?"
Yeah.
He's I don't know what it is with him. He just seems so incompetent when it comes to the media. But I mean, at the same time, you could predict when he was going to make the changes, and it's been the same for so long. I kept saying it during the watch party. We were crying out for changes, and I said, "Guys, wait till the 60th minute. That's when the changes are going to happen." And maybe it happened slightly before it. I don't know, but he always waits, and then he makes a change. And it was the same during this game. We had an absolute wonder strike from Ronaldo. We're ahead. We need one more goal. Let's go at it and get that third goal. And Lyon were rattled. They were finally afraid for the first time during this tie. And then we didn't capitalise on it. Nothing changed. Nothing happened. And then Lyon made changes and they adapted and they were fine again for the majority of the game. And it's just difficult to have confidence in Sarri. He feels like a one-trick pony to me. And at times when I was watching the game tonight, and it's not the first time, there's been several other games, I felt like I'm watching an Allegri game because it's the same tactics and approach. Take the ball out wide, hit and hope across into the box. Here's the difference. Mandzukic isn't there. You don't have the big target man there, the big physical presence. Higuain isn't that. Ronaldo, he's got a free roam. He'll go wherever he wants to go. Yeah, he's known for being spectacular from headers. But why the hell did we get rid of Mandzukic if we were going to ping balls in like crosses from wide? Surely you would want to keep a target man for that. And like this is a big problem in the club, and it's not just Sarri. I'm not one of those Sarri out guys. Oh, it's all Sarri's fault. It's not, right?
And I want to say something too. Like, I said the one positive we can take out of this terrible, terrible defeat is that, again, the highlight, the spotlight now is on the management when you look at this roster. So, while we still have our frustrations with Sarri as manager, his hands were in a sense tied because we have no options. There was no options to him off the bench. But this is the part that frustrates me about him too. In that type of scenario, like I just explained, change your formation up to make some of the guys you do have work. Like, change something. And while I was one at the forefront saying it was time for Allegri to go, there is no question. I still feel that way. It was his time came to an end. But in terms of game management, they are miles apart, Allegri and Sarri. Allegri could turn a match. He could actually do that by switching his formation mid-match, putting in a proper player. Sarri is not capable.
One-trick pony.
He does not do that. His substitutions are detached from the match and what's happening. Okay? That match, Higuain would have to leave that match. And here's another thing. If he didn't take Higuain out because of the fear of Dybala getting injured, why the fuck is Dybala going out there in the first place? It's just, the whole thing is a mess. It's mismanagement from the top. It's mismanagement from the coach. And the players themselves need to take a long look in the mirror. And you know what? I've said that last season. I said it halfway through the season before. And it's done. It's time to inject this team with some youth, with some driven guys. I talked about this recently. Changing the spine of our club, going to Demiral, De Ligt, getting Pjanic out of there. He was pissed poor today. Higuain can get lost. Like, it's over. It's done. If you're going to sit around there, sulk, and walk around the pitch, it's the same thing. And I'm not picking on Higuain because I was picking on Rabiot earlier in the season too when he was doing it. He was sulking and moaning all over the damn pitch, but then something switched with him. And he started fighting enough. But today, it just wasn't good enough from anybody. Ronaldo was great. De Ligt was good. But it was just, Bernardeschi had his moments. just wasn't enough. And that's just a shame. That's a damn shame for a team. Here's the thing. Everybody, I'm sure you saw Maurizio's post from around Turin. The amount of money Juve has made from Champions League being the highest over a certain stretch of time. How in the hell is this our roster if you're pulling in that money? If that doesn't tell you how much our management is to blame, nothing will. Because to have that amount of money and have this midfield, it's crazy to me. It's absolutely, and to have no options off the bench, no viable options off the bench. serieA has been poor for a while, and that also tied in with the fact that Allegri was overachieving on the European front with the people he had, the players he had. Those two combinations have allowed management to think what they're doing is right and good business. And now it's caught up to them, and it's right in their face looking back at them. You know, it's right there, and they're about to meet it head on. And this Mercado is going to be crucial for it. Those two factors allowed them to believe what they were doing is good. The gap now with Merda just spending that amount of money, but the gap shortened up a hell of a lot quicker. Atalanta's within reach. Lazio is within reach, you know, and, you know, we just missed out on a bunch of revenue because we got bounced to fucking Lyon, you know.
In the round 16.
Yeah. How do you feel about these comments about the gap now in serieA and that leading to, as well as Allegri overachieving in Europe with the guys he had? Do you think that's allowed management to continue on this broken style of business with these shitty extensions and overextending players that we don't need? Like, why has Rugani been around here for so long? We had offers at one point of 25 million. How don't you take that?
For
Shit
a glorified
like that,
backup player. Like a glorified backup player. I'm under the impression that there's a real threat that this winning cycle is coming to an end. It's getting closer, and it's been getting closer for a while. I mean, we had the 17-18 season by the skin of our teeth. We won that season. The following season was a cakewalk, like a walk in the park domestically. But we got shown up at times in the Champions League, you know, time and time again. Man United, young boys, and obviously Ajax and Atletico Madrid the first leg. And it just seems like there's been warning signs, and it feels like to me that the club they're taking their eye off the ball. They're becoming more, and there's nothing wrong with this to an extent. They're becoming more fixated on the business side of football, because, you know, they've changed this thing and that thing there. They've changed the badge. So they changed the badge and the logo, which, you know, I wasn't behind at first, but I don't give a shit about now. It is what it is. You know, some people are annoyed by it. I don't care anymore about a badge. It's not the first time it's been changed. It won't be the last time. But they were more interested in the business side. They were more interested in the brand side. And you can do all you want business-wise and brand-wise, but that's not going to mean a damn thing if the product on the pitch is sliding. And the product on the pitch has been sliding for a while now, okay? 17-8 for 3 seasons now, because basically that's the season over tonight. 3 seasons. Performances have been sliding and dipping, okay? Because we have been complaining, rightfully so, about performances and results for a while now. And it feels like playing poorly is the standard for Juventus right now, but somehow winning. And you can count on one hand the amount of really, really good, convincing performance this season alone. Because, like, I mean, I'm trying to think of them right now. Maybe people don't agree with this one. Like, one of my favourite games this season was the Juventus-Napoli game, the 4-3. I thought that was, like, brilliant. And I think that summed up our entire season, because when we were on our game, we were really great going forward. You know, we went 3-0 up, and it was like, yeah, here we go. Second game into the league, I think it was, into the season, and we are firing on all cylinders. Sarri ball, bring it on. This is going to be great. And then all of a sudden, you saw the defensive fragilities. and we're conceding all over the place, and 3-0 becomes 3-3, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on here? Obviously, we went on and won it. And that remained with me for the majority of the season, because defensively, we just went at it for most of the season, I felt. And that's no surprise, okay? I'm going to give Sarri some slack here, okay? Because like I said earlier on, I'm not one of these doomsday plastic fans where I'm like, yeah, Sarri out, hashtag Sarri out. Let's wait and see when Juventus slip up. I can't wait to jump all over it. You know, fuck that. I don't care about that. I'm a Juventus fan. When the team performs great or well, I will praise them. When the team performs poorly, I will criticise them. That is what a football fan does, okay? You don't have your agendas or your blinkered vision and you're like, you just tunnel vision and you fixate on, I'm going to defend the team or this player, manager, no matter what happens, right? That's just BS. There's no point in that. But here's where I will defend Sarri, okay? The fullback situation was laughable. So we get rid of João Cancelo and we bring in Danilo, which looks like a bad move to begin with. And then we send out, I think it's Pellegrini on loan, and we sell Spinazzola. And you're thinking, okay, let's wait and see who comes in. No one comes in. So essentially, we go into the season, and a normal season, 3 competitions: Coppa Italia, serieA, and the Champions League. 4 if you want to count the Super Cup or whatever. So management expected to go into every competition with 3 natural fullbacks: Danilo, Alexandro, Matteo Di Chilio, and convert a frickin' winger in Juan Cuadrado, 0 defensive abilities whatsoever, into a right back. And he has, early on in the season, he did well. He looked competent. And then even before the whole COVID break, league shutdown, it was starting to look, you were thinking to yourself, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have Danilo start. Because there's just, Cuadrado at times, he just looked like a guy where he's so used to playing as a winger, he'll bomb forward and he'll completely forget, hey, I'm supposed to be a right back here. And that was the impression I had for so many times. And like, Juan Cuadrado, he's been good overall for Juventus during his career. Like, he's a pacey winger with tricks. He can cause problems offensively when he's on his game. The problem is he's not consistent, and as a right back, he offers 0 in defensive duties to you. And that's on management. Management should have brought in a natural fullback. You're starting with 2 fullbacks, left back, right back. You've got to have at least 4 in your squad, at the very minimum. And it was just crazy to me to expect Cuadrado to be like a first-team right back all season.
Yeah, earlier there, what you said, I was feeling the same way, and I put a post on. I just said, we have lost the balance. We've lost the balance as a club in being a team that's focused on the finances and the exposure versus being focused on being a winning machine on the pitch. That's why these gaps are getting closed. And now is the time to act because it is getting worse, and it's getting worse quickly. It's going to be interesting to see what develops. Obviously, as I usually do, I put out a post just asking people to get their comments and thoughts out. This should be fun.
Twitter's fun right now, I'll tell you that.
So Miran writes in, this may be a blessing to do a clean out, players and the coach. Let's rebuild. I think Juve should go after Zidane and get rid of most of these overrated and overpriced bums. Let's go. My fear, and I said this, my fear is from seeing the lack of progression with the players we have, that we bring in players suited and nothing changes. I have that fear. I have that fear that Sarri is not flexible enough to run a club that's, going to be challenging on all 3 fronts on these competitions. I don't think he's got it in him. You have to have the flexibility. You have to be able to adapt those formations and whatnot. I don't think he has it in him. I don't think he will do it. And 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2, don't tell me that's flexible and that's adapting, because that's fuck all. And then we actually were worse. when he's trying to do this 4-4-2 thing. The press went invisible when he tried to do that. And we don't have the midfield to do this 4-3-3 thing. We were built for a 3-5-2 until injuries hit. But the thing is, even with the injuries and when they come along, that's when your manager has to earn their keep. That's when he's got to get flexible. That's when the ideas need to come out, you know? And when he sits there and he says, I've adapted, I've had to adapt to the players I have. You haven't adapted whatsoever, sorry. Like he hasn't adapted whatsoever. The only thing he's adapted is he stopped trying to push his passing sequences and what he wanted out of them. And he just said, yeah, go do what you're doing. And now is why we're seeing all of the same shit we saw last year when we were frustrated. Because I feel like he's just said, okay, yeah, no, you know, you guys aren't grasping my concepts. Make this happen. So it's a really, really tough one. I understand the fans that don't want Juve to be a club that starts pulling the trigger on coaches and create this carousel. But at the same time, man, you really have to set a standard and you really got to ask what you're going to get, right? Because if you want a coach that's going to be like that and this is so rigid and whatnot, and these are the players I need, this is how it's got to happen. We haven't done the business to make that happen. And are we going to be able to bring in the players in one season? Is it going to be 2 seasons? Like, we're about to be terminating contracts. We're about to be facing some losses from COVID, like financially and everything like that. You know, maybe we need somebody that's more flexible. But the thing is, we've got Sarri for a 3-year contract, and I can't see us shredding it. I just can't see it. So see what happens there. Luis DeVito wants us to break down the percentage of blame from manager, management, and the players. This is honestly, I would have to go with 40% management, 45% management, and then I think I'd go 35 on the manager for this season. 45, 30, 25 on the players as well.
Well, mate, to begin with, don't come at me for percentages because I will completely screw that up right now. But I mean, it's a tough one. I mean, everyone has a part to play in this blame.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I remember at the beginning of the season when Allegri left, and then we're all speculating and fantasising about who's the new Juventus manager going to be. And we had the Pochettino rumours, we had the complete pipe dream that was Pep Guardiola. And then Sarri's name got mentioned. And the majority of the fans were like, yeah, forget Sarri, man. Did you see what he'd done at Chelsea? Oh my God, you know, the fans were chanting, you know, fuck Sarri ball on a regular basis. That's how happy they were with football at Chelsea. And, you know, people will fire back, well, they won the Europa League. Go look at the run that Chelsea had to the Europa League final. And look at the teams they beat. Because it wasn't like they were beating top sides. I mean, I think Arsenal might have been one of the better sides that they faced. And that was in the final. So, you know, you can't say that we're bringing in a guy that's won a European Cup. Allegri's never won a European Cup. It's like, yeah, but, you know, I'm not going to make this a Allegri versus Sarri thing because it's pointless. There's no point.
But you can make it a Europa versus Champions League thing, right?
Yeah.
And like, that's a whole different ball game, man. A whole different world.
I mean, he done nothing with Napoli in the Champions League pretty much. I mean, they had to be able to compete with, and this is a squad issue as well, this isn't just on Sarri, back then, they had to basically throw in the towel in the Champions League to compete with us in the league. Pretty much what Lazio done with the Europa League this season. But anyway, so I don't know what management saw in Sarri that made them think, yeah, this is a guy that's going to take us forward. we're going to have Sarri ball, and we're going to play attractive football, attract new fans, and everyone's going to be happy because everyone hates this whole pragmatic style that Allegri's brought into the club. And that was just completely nonsense. I mean, because they didn't give him the players to begin with. I mean, we've already spoken on the issues at fullback. And then you look at the midfield, and the midfield was just basically putting a Band-Aid on cancer. That's what that was. I mean, you bring in Rabiot and Ramsey, and what's the thing they've got in common? Free transfers. So that's all that was. And again, that goes on to the business side of like management. They're more fixated on business, and they're thinking to themselves, there's 2 players available for free. Let's offer them a load of wages, a load of money, and they'll join us. And like, to a degree, you could think to yourself, was that done because management thought these guys are going to be first team regulars? Or was that done like more or less the same that we done with Emre Can? Bring them in and sell them on for a profit, plus Valenza or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
go ahead, Graeme. Keep going.
So I mean, it's been an issue for a while. I think management overall, like, they thought it was going to be simple for transfers. I mean, let's rewind several seasons back. Pirlo Rise, free transfer. Paul Pogba, free transfer. And they turned out to be absolutely phenomenal. And then you sell on Paul Pogba for an absolute fortune. And then management must think, ka-ching, we can sign players for free and then we can sell them on for profit. This will be great. And that's not worked out at all whatsoever. Like in recent seasons, like it just feels like signing guys on a free transfer for the sake of it. And then even again last season, I mean, it's easy to, with revisionist history right now, and go, yeah, it was completely the right idea to sell Moise Kean. Totally the right idea. We got a big fee from Everton, and that was great because he's hardly done anything at that club since. But then you look at it and you go, well, where's the depth? This, depth that people keep talking about. Higuain and Dybala. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo, he can play as a striker. Yeah, but he doesn't want to. He wants to play. He wants to play it wide. We've seen how stroppy he can get when you just put him bang in the centre and say, Ronaldo, stay. He won't stay. He doesn't want to stay. So essentially, you've got 2 players fighting it out for the same position. And if one gets injured, like we have with Dybala right now, then you're completely handcuffed. You only have one option as a striker.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same problem we've got in the full-back as well. And the only position I'm entirely comfortable with right now is the centre-backs. Like, when everyone's fit, forget about Regani. No one wants to talk about him. No one even likes him. Let's be brutally honest. You've got the future, right? You've got the future in De Ligt and Demiral, the future present right now, and then you've got the old school Bonucci and Chiellini behind them. So centre-back is solid, but everywhere else you look at it and you go, is it really that great depth-wise?
Yeah, our fullback situation is laughable. It's worse than our midfield situation. We know we got Kulishevsky and Arthur coming in, which will be a big help, but our fullbacks it's a joke. Continuing on with Twitter comments, Juve Loco writes in, we didn't deserve to go through, and it's probably a blessing because we didn't, because City would have really embarrassed us. It's a poor reflection on serieA that a team that plays this bad and slow won the title with 2 games to spare. We don't deserve CR7. Well, let's start off with the first part of it. You think Man City would have embarrassed us?
Well, put it this way, I'll be bluntly honest with you. As soon as I saw the draw for the way this Champions League format was going to set out, as soon as I saw that, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Man City, I thought to myself, shit. If we somehow, because we were garbage in the first leg, let's not beat around the bush. We lost this tie in the first leg. That was where this whole tie was lost. Because we didn't score an away goal, and then we're supposed to keep a clean sheet, and clearly, obviously, we didn't. But in the back of my head, I've always said for a while now, I think I've said it on Twitter as well, I'll be happy if we reach the quarterfinals. That's my minimum expectation, and that is shockingly bad as a Juventus fan, where I'm thinking to myself, you know what, if we can somehow get past Lyon, I'll be happy with someone spanking us in the quarterfinal, because at least we reached the quarterfinal. But I would not have been confident playing any of those sides in the quarterfinal, let alone further along.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it just goes back to the confidence the team and their play has instilled in us, and it's lack of confidence because it's just been so hit and miss. The last part there, we don't deserve CR7. We have wasted it. We have wasted it. I don't like to say we don't deserve him because I think it sounds different than what I'm trying to say is we're wasting. We're wasting the window. We've wasted it with CR7. Just not making the right moves. And it was the moves before. And I've said this numerous times. You think you're so close to Champions League that he's the difference. But when you bring him in, it's a fucking gap, a massive gap of where you're at because of the moves you've made, and it's all coming to light. You know, like you just think adding this piece, we're gonna go there, we're so close, but then you see, oh man, you just end up having a team that's relying on Ronaldo, and the team play just shuts right down. And look at our knockout goals in Champions League. Who scored one in the past whatever besides Ronaldo? I think the last one was Matuidi. Like that tells you a bunch, man. You know, like it's crazy to me. It's just crazy. We have pissed away this window with Ronaldo, and you could also argue that adding Ronaldo pissed that window away because we were not in a place. Again, though, it falls back on the business. You weren't in a place to make moves properly with Ronaldo because he drains you financially, and then all that bad business catches up to you because we overstay welcomes at Juventus. We're turning it into a resort where these players want to come and hang out and eat well and get paid well and not fucking produce. So you
A
gotta
holiday vacation at J Medical.
stop doing that, man. Matt writes in, it went how I thought it would go. All right. I mean, fair enough. On my preview and prediction, I said we cannot concede. If we concede, I don't see it happening. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't see this team scoring 3 goals. I didn't. I had no faith in us getting 3 goals if Lyon scored one. Trevor writes in, sell, sell, sell. Buy 2 fullbacks, a world-class, young, talented midfielder. The question is, what do you actually think Juve management will do? Will we sell and buy appropriate players, or will we just sit and hope for another year? What I honestly think is going to happen, we are going to find out real quick how many contracts are going to have to get terminated. And all this money that people are thinking they're going to get for these guys, no way. It's not happening. Nobody wants to buy a injury-prone fucking Costa for 45 million euros. It's not going to happen. Nobody wants Higuain for 15 mil, who can't even move. Nobody wants Mattia De Chilio. Like, take him for like 5 mil maybe. These rumors with Barca, whatever, I'll believe it when I see it. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. We're not going to.
I mean, I think the real question is Sorry to cut you off there. The real question is, where's the money coming from? Because there's no attendance revenue, and there's probably going to be 0 attendance revenue for the rest of this year, and that's a large percentage of revenue for football clubs. And like you touched on, who the hell is going to spend big on Higuain, Douglas Costa, and these guys?
Yeah, the scary thing is they're going to end up finding out that we are going to be in a position where you got to move players that are not the top of the list. You know, like for me, whatever we all think about him, Bernardeschi should not be at the top of our sales list based on the guys we have, but he will be, only because he's the only one that will have value. You know, Rugani, who the hell is going to buy Rugani for more than a bag of match balls? Come on, fuck. You know, Juve Loco writes in, either back Sarri and get him a squad to suit his ideas, or thank him for the Scudetto and send him on his way. The club needs to act, or else we'll be in for more of this frustrating garbage next season. I mean, we've got some players coming, whether or not it's going to suit him, whether or not he is still the guy. I'm not 100% sold, even if we get him his guys. You know, I'm not.
I just can't put faith in a manager that can't even take a goalkeeper off as a substitute. I keep going back to that whenever I talk about Sarri when he was at Chelsea. The guy he has such little respect from football players that he couldn't get a goalkeeper off. He was trying to sub a goalkeeper off, and Kepka, whatever his name was, just refused.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to believe that guys like Cristiano Ronaldo and such are going to respect Sarri. I don't see it.
I know. And then we got Gianluca Honorado writing in. While I'm sad we're out of the Champions League, we needed it. Dybala's hurt. De Ligt has one shoulder. We look dead tired. We need a midfield revamp. Sell Khedira, swap Matuidi, and money for Aouar, etc. He's like, I really think Sarri needs one more season. No coach would have done well here, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, you could make that argument because we saw Allegri do decent with whatever we had. I don't know, but it's really hard to put any kind of vote of confidence in Sarri. But selling these guys we just talked about, it's going to be hard. Shine 246, 4-3-3 formation is not for Juventus. Yeah, I mean, you can make that argument too because we're thin on midfield talent, whatnot. So you almost felt, we talked about it, 3-5-2 would probably be the way you should play with these guys. But again, injuries would have stopped that anyway. So it's a tough one. Dexter from the lab, hell of a handle. Although the season is a dud, I do believe if we do sign a top quality center midfielder, a fullback, and a winger who can cross as well as backup striker for moments like this when Dybal's injured, we can turn this current shambles around. It really is needed. Yeah, I mean, I think like the fullback situation is just so bad. And the thing is, Juve's got too many gaps right now to try and fill. So it's gonna take some time. It's not gonna happen in this Mercado, which I think a lot of us expect. I'd be shocked.
Too many changes need to happen.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. We got a couple last ones. Chad Fruza writes in, I think everyone has said what needs to be said. This Juve started from ownership, management, coaching, starting from Allegri, because he says, I don't think it's fair to put all the blame on Sarri. And yeah, I said that a couple of podcasts ago too. I agree. And poor effort from our veteran players' complacency. Yep. I think finally management has realized their mistakes and made the great business of swapping Pjanic for Arthur and signing a young talent like Kulusevski. We'll see if management owns to their mistakes and cleans house and gets rid of players that are no longer Juve material and make the signings necessary to get us back. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I actually agree with that. It's not all on Sarri. I mean, Allegri was part of the bad play went up, but the management, again, not getting the right guys. Looking at market opportunities rather than building the team. I've said this a bunch lately. They would rather take a market opportunity as a transfer almost before looking at the actual team they have and is this player actually going to improve us, And yeah, it's frustrating. I thank everybody who wrote in. It's all the same type of feelings. It sucks. This one hurts. We've got work to do. The club has a lot of work to do. I want to be optimistic and have that faith that it gets done properly. However, the bad business is still lingering, and it's going to be hard to make these moves. Graeme, how do you feel before we wrap up about the positives? Arthur and Kulusevski, we've got to look at those as positives. They've got to help this club, right?
Yeah, younger players for a start.
Yeah. Next,
because I mean, like Arthur, like from what I hear from Barcelona fans, Arthur is a good player. The only drawback with him is he's a bit of a bad boy. He's got a bad attitude, I think. Hopefully, the bad attitude takes a back seat and we see the performances. Like, time will tell. Kulusevski, he just looks like an absolute bargain right now. I mean, I'll include myself in this. A few fans were looking at the fee and thinking to themselves, why the hell are we spending 30-odd million on a guy at Parma when Chelsea are signing Ziyech from Ajax for more or less the same fee. But, you know, when you look back on the performances for Parma right now, you're getting excited about this guy. And, like, right now, I would have him immediately in the starting 11.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So positives are they've already got a couple good moves. They just really, really need to. Oh man, I hope we can end up okay with moving the Deadwood, but I don't see it. I see some contracts getting terminated. I see nothing financially coming out of that, and yeah, the Arthur move was great, no question. Kulishevsky, huge. Um, for me, Arthur is not enough in the middle. We still need a midfielder that we need to bring in. Um, the fullback situation, those take precedence for me. Striker, I would get somebody young that could rotate in and mix in because Dybala needs to be built around. You've got one more season with Ronaldo, if that even happens. Because, yeah, talks are going to be swirling, rolling around, and you never know. You never know. Just as quick as he came to Juventus, he could leave Juventus.
Well,
And,
the one good thing right now, like I will say about Juventus, like, sorry to jump in there, the one positive is we are going down the younger route. We're signing younger players and we're getting that average squad rate, age rate down.
yeah.
Because for a while I was worried about that, but we are going in the right direction that wise. We just need to, like, speed it up if possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's right now, this is the only positives I could take. The fact that we somehow maintained the Scudetto, got the 9 straight. We've got a couple good deals in the bag. You know, let's move from there. There's been some words swirling around, a couple interviews, Nedved and whatnot, and it really, I'm going to let everybody find that article, read it. Yeah, you can interpret it a couple different ways. To me, the way I read it, there might be a little bit of a shakeup. Nobody knows what that shakeup is, though. But when you hear things like that, you know, we talked about Sarri's words, even Bonucci, this guy who was our captain in Chiellini's absence, saying, you know, I heard this a couple days ago, them pre-match talking about how, well, our main objective was the Scudetto and whatnot. It's like, stop setting me up for you guys failing. Okay? I don't want to hear about these other objectives. Okay, I don't want to hear about Coppa Italia. I want to hear about the fucking Champions League right now. I want to hear about how you guys are going to approach it, what you guys are going to do. I don't need to hear that the Scudetto is always the main objective. And if that's always going to be the main objective, and we're never going to grow, and we're going to keep the standard there, and you're our captain, and you're going to be perfectly fine with that, then you're not our captain, and I don't want you around because I want to think about the growth. I want to think about, you know, us taking the next step. You know, we can't literally be happy all the time just getting the Scudetto. That's not taking it for granted. I love winning the Scudetto. I celebrate it all the time. Every single year I celebrate. I love us winning the Scudetto. That's not taking it for granted. It's just saying we should aim higher. You know, 9 straight Scudetti, what are the steps we've taken to get to that next level? And that's on management. That is 100% on management because they, again, think that what they've been doing is fine, but there's been no growth. And now the serieA gap is shorter and they see what we've been doing is wrong. Are they going to get it right? Stay tuned because it's going to happen real damn quick. The 2021 season starts September 19th. Like, the window opens, I believe, on the 1st of September for Juve. So we don't have to wait very long. We're going to get that answer and we'll see what happens. I don't like a lot of the BS that I see and hear and read about plastic fans and you're a plastic fan and this and that and everybody's going at it. Believe what you want. Think what you want. But when you see this whole thing playing out and you go back and you follow those markets, follow those transfer markets, look at the moves we made. Management's in on it. Players are in on it because they're just simply not at the level that we should be looking at. You know, when you take that amount of money on top of your already large revenue, you take that amount of money over these years out of Champions League, and this is the roster you have. So you hand it over to a manager, and he has one starting 11 that still has a couple gaps, and he has nobody to bring off the bench that could make an impact. That is an extreme failure for a club making this kind of money. Flat out. So we win the Scudetto. We get the 9th straight. Thankful. This is amazing. However, the season as a whole, it really wasn't it almost wasn't even a transition, and it wasn't even a build of a project. This is the worst in a long time. Definitely all these winning Scudettos, all these seasons were far better than this. This was by far the poorest. And when you can actually look at some of the teams prior to us winning the first in this run and say that those were even better teams to watch than this one, and you look at those rosters, there's a big problem that we need to address, and management needs to take a look back and see and realize how bad of a job they've done in managing this. You know, stop. I don't want Juve to become this financial powerhouse that's a joke on the European front. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. So it needs to be corrected, and it needs to be quick. Things can't continue like this. Any closing thoughts, Graeme, on any of that?
I mean, like, I think emotions are clearly riding high after a performance like that. But I mean, like, it's definitely the worst. I feel the worst successful season we've had during this 9 in a row. And I mean, I would even further argue that this is a downgrade on last season. I mean, last season we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. This season, the round of 16 to Lyon, a team that had played something like one competitive game in 5 months, and we couldn't overcome them.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully things improve next season, because management really need to get their act together. Yeah. And we need actual good players rather than guys in the squad just to make up the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to stop rewarding players that do not require that. Okay. Yeah. That has to stop. These salaries on some of these players, it's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. If people continue to also tell me that they wouldn't move Sandro, I'm done. Our fullbacks, it's brutal. Sandro, Quadrado's not even a fullback. I'm not even considering him. He's a right winger. But Danilo, De Sheila, you touched on it. And then in the midfield, I mean, Rabiot stepped up. Ramsey just disappointed me. He should be better. He showed us what he can do as mid-Salah, but somewhere or another he lost it and he just faded terribly. So it's just Bernardeschi can just, like glimpses here and there, but not what he showed the first season for us. And then waiting for that breakthrough. And again, we talk about overextending your stays, but it's time to pull the plug on that. It's time to pull the plug on that project. Douglas Costa, even when he's in the lineup, inconsistent, and just like
fragile as
always glass. Injured, fragile. Like, time to move. Higuain should have been moved 2 years past. 2 seasons past, he should have been moved. And we got caught on that deal, And you could look back and you say, was it worth it? And I still think, the guy banged in a lot of goals, a lot of crucial goals. But, man, there were offers there. You just got to bite the bullet. Even if it's somewhat not the deal you're looking for, you got to bite the bullet at some point. Just say it's time to go. So all we can do is celebrate what we did take this year, okay? We saw a huge emergence from De Ligt. We saw Bentancur grow. He stopped, slowed down towards the end, but there's still a hell of a player in there, I believe. We have Dybala on an incredible year, an MVP winning year. Okay, we still have Szczesny, won serieA goalkeeper of the year. We've got Demiral that's got healthy now, and we're bringing in Kulishevsky and Arthur. So it's not completely dire. It's just all the pieces around that group of players that we need to build. Ronaldo, we'll see what happens. But again, he's no spring chicken and he's getting older. That's the only reason I didn't include him in there. Not because I'm trying to start anything, because we don't have much time left with him. But there are positives if you look at this new core of players. But I want to see us bring in Romero, and I want to see us bring in Pellegrini and keep them with us and drive that competition at these positions. So it's not all dire. Management, just please, for the sake of all of our health and well-being, get your shit together.
Amen.
That wraps it up for episode 108. Graeme, thanks again for filling in, my man. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I don't know what you got to do. Have a beer. Graeme, you're probably going to have cider. Well, it's late. You probably go to bed. But
bedtime.
I'm going to have a couple beers. I'm out the door. I'm going to go to the lake. I'm just going to take my mind off of it. Juventini, it's been a blast this season. Regardless, it's always fun. I look forward to next season and meeting many, many more first-time podcast guests and Juventini. Thanks again, as always. And as always, no matter the result, always, till the end, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao.